small feat given the range of competition that was in Southeast Asia. But, you know, as we said, the Chinese scene as well, they had plenty of strong contenders. OMG were dominating China for the longest time. And for Dakun and TT to get out to the Horizon Cup over what was, you know, considerably one of the strongest teams is crazy. But we're into Champion Select League, and it is Riven banned immediately. And I think I was talking last night to a couple of the pros, Snitch, who didn't make it from Ricks. They said they thought Riven and Camille were going to be very strong bans and very strong contention picks throughout the Horizon Cup. It seems already we're going to see the Riven taken away. The Fiora is gone. The Baron lane picks are very quickly being whittled away here in this pick and ban phase, as well as Senna and Thresh off the table too. These are picks that have dominated the meta over the last 2 or 3 months, and they are immediately being taken off the board.
I know Snitch is out there watching right now. I did invite him. He lives in the same city as me. I was like, come on over. Join me in the living room. We can cast it as well. Get a tri-cast going on. But no, he's the other side of the city. But the final ban to come through. I mean, we were wondering how the bans were going to go. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about the junglers. Weeba and TF, both incredibly strong. A lot of people would say the best junglers in the world right now. Obviously, that's what this competition is all about. They've all been hyped up in their own regions, and now we are here on the international stage. And I do feel this is, as you say, a bit of a litmus test, but Ziggs has been allowed through. And, you know, think of all the competitions. He has been close to 100% pick or banned, but there is the carry. Varus coming in. That was the AD that we expected to be pretty much the #1 go-to.
Yeah, and I think Varus, there is a reason Varus is so highly sought after for the same reason that Ziggs is. He's an AD carry that can 2v1 bot lane. He can clear waves with very little threat and just be able to be safe under tower. And what that does is it unlocks your support. The meta right now, I think, is going to be very support roam heavy. And I think by having Varus, you have a safe AD carry who can 2v1, and also an AD carry that has a lot of good teamfight presence, a lot of good poke. You have to have something to counter that Ziggs pokes a little bit too. So I like that Varus pickup. I think it's one of the best responses you could potentially have into Ziggs. But look at this though, Zed already locked in. Jarvan coming through as well. Jarvan giving you an immediate form of engage. Zed is a good counter pick into Varus because Varus has very low mobility. So if you can lock him down, he's quite an easy target for Zed to lock off. We have the Darius and the Graves coming through though. So very short range, brawl heavy team fight coming through from SBTC right now. I'm really interested to see how they round this comp out because it feels a little dangerous now with Varus being the primary threat. But we'll see how it goes.
Well, if you're new to Wild Rift or joining us from another scene, and you know, welcome to start with. And this is looking to be an explosive game. It's something we know about certainly these two regions is they are very aggressive. And looking at these team comps right now, this is very much all in. The Jax getting locked in as well alongside the Jarvan, the Zed, and the Ziggs. I mean, that is an explosive combo.
Yeah, I mean, given that we have about 4 Baron lane bans here, you are whittling down that Baron lane champion pool. There it is, the very roam heavy support that we're expecting to see, the Rakan coming through. That does confirm, obviously, that Ziggs will be going into that AD carry position, so we have a bot lane Ziggs. I'm expecting to see a lot of 1v1 Ziggs versus Varus, while we see a lot of Rakan roams and a lot of Braum roams to contest at these neutral objectives. The Diana is the final lock-in here. Very anti-melee comp coming through from SBTC. They are intending to deal with the Jax, the Jarvan, and the Zed by having a very strong anti-melee comp, like Braum, good anti-melee, Diana, great anti-melee, Darius, one of the best anti-melee champions in the game. They're expecting, if a full-on team fight breaks out, that they'll be able to deal swiftly with the melee threats, and then Ziggs will be left exposed, allowing them to follow up easily with the Diana. Whereas DKG, I think, D-Man, they are looking to say, well, we don't really want all-out team fights here. Obviously we can do later in the game when Ziggs gets a lot stronger, but we are looking to utilize the 1-3-1 or the split push pressure that Jax and Zed are going to provide us, and we're looking for smaller skirmishes facilitated by heavy roaming from the Rakan, and obviously with Jarvan with his great engage. So I think DKG will want to play away from teamfights this game, at least in the early game for sure. They'll be looking for smaller skirmishes. Whereas if you're SBTC, very anti-melee comp, you're looking to get those 5v5s and dominate Jarvan, Zed, and even Rakan, but then you can turn your focus onto the likes of the Ziggs.
As the switches we're expecting to see, as you mentioned, the Ziggs as the carry lane down in the bottom. I expect to see the Jarvan going jungle. We haven't seen the Queebear switching over to the Jax yet, but we'll see when that gets into the game. I'm just expecting that to be where it goes. Yes. So if you've just joined us, welcome. This is going to be an absolute banger of a match. Two of the top teams coming out of China and Southeast Asia going at it. And if you've never watched Wild Rift before, this is generally a pretty fast-paced action. I expect this one to be very fast-paced. I'm not going to lie. This best-of-3 series, best-of-3 in the groups, of course, throughout. And this, really, with two of the favorites, both still, regardless of result, probably expected to go through in the groups, regardless of who comes out on top here. But this is a real, I would say, a mental edge for whoever comes out in top of this, because these teams are almost certain to face each other later in the competition.
I'm really excited to see this game, honestly, D-Man. I think it is, two of the strongest regions that we have here, but as you've mentioned, two of the strongest teams. We are on to the Rift. It looks like it's Jack's jungle for Hueba. So he's going to be playing Jack's jungle this time round. So instead we have Jarvan top lane. I like that because the Darius Jax matchup is really bad for Jax, whereas the Darius Jarvan matchup is a little easier for Jarvan because you just slap him with your Dragon Strike over and over again, right? Very interesting, though. It's going to be two very different styles of fights and different styles of playing the game between DKG. But look at this aggressive play from Wind in the laning phase already here. You've seen Emo go for his first ability as that first level up. They're just looking to poke out as much as possible, abuse that melee support as best they can, and don't allow Varus and Braum to establish themselves in the lane.
Setting Hueba up to get going. The jungle path is where we're expecting to go. If you guys at home are watching, though, do get yourself linked in with your Wild Rift accounts and Amazon. Get yourself that Prime Gaming random skin drops. Thank you very much to Prime Gaming for that, the November drops. What did you get? What did you get, Kiernan? I know you did it just before. Did you not open it?
I didn't unlock it, mate.
No,
I didn't unlock it. I know. It's a sad one, but I did see that our boy Drago's got a Malphite skin, which I didn't think he was particularly happy about. But do you know what? I think we take free skins when we get them.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm hoping though. I'm a support main, so I'm hoping I at least get a support champion.
Yeah, everybody in chat spamming my drop. You gotta be patient, guys. It's all linked. Get yourself your Prime Gaming on there. Ignite being used already. That was an all-in from YK. The flash burned as well to try and get everything in there. The barrier for Yunaro saving him out though. Akino down the bottom. They're getting very aggressive. Wind still has a decent amount of mana, and here comes Hueba. Hueba around the side. That is an aggressive jump. Immediate exhaust. Did he try and bait it out? There is a minion conga line coming in. Hueba goes in. The exhaust goes down once again. It should be the full tower dive. They're juggling the aggro really well, but they do not net themselves a kill.
Oh, it just feels like a bit of nerves from these guys, like some mis-execution on that tower dive. You can see that TF is going to take this example and say, well, do you know what? I've just seen Jax show bot. I'm going to make an invite onto that blue side jungle and steal things away. And now he's level 5, so is Yunero, and YK saw it coming a mile away. Back straight out from this
he's got help. Got support in there. Obviously just used that flag and drag to get away, so not able to use as the knock-up. Did have that Tribush ward, which gave YK the early presence notice, and I guess that's a simple case of communication from the bot lane saying we've shown ourselves, we know it's coming, so expect a gank top. So really well read. Both teams reading into this one perfectly at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit nerves though. I think that's expected, right?
First game of the tournament, it's always the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Your first game in a live environment, your first game on stage. Just got to settle into the vibes a bit, make sure you're in a good spot. DKG, though, having a great time on bot. I mean, Kirel and Kakano, they've been forced back into the tower. They've burnt all their summoners already. So this is actually a good spot for DKG to play around a dragon take. The dragon's coming up in around 45 seconds. So DKG now will want to just utilize that bot lane priority that they've got and try and play around that as their objective. They'll always be able to shove in Kirel and Akano very early on, and then they can make that rotate over to jungle. So it feels like you've got to play around your strong side of the map here. Your strong side is the bot lane, and it just feels like a little bit YK is on wave clear duty and just playing a bit of weak side versus Darius right now.
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be all down to the objectives. Rift Herald and Dragon. Who favors what? We've seen a lot of teams going for that Rift Herald first, especially based on the Drake. But it is going to be a Mountain Drake first, which is a pretty decent one overall. So I think, yeah, I'm already seeing, you can see the support's already trying to get a position, the sweeping starting. And there's the Dragon. Everybody back, everybody by. We're about ready to rumble in a few minutes.
Yeah, if I were SBTC, I'd probably be looking to try and focus down the Rift Herald. I think that's a much more useful first objective compared to the Mountain Dragon. It can allow you to snowball the game, it can allow you to open up one of the towers on the map, and especially versus the Ziggs, you don't allow Ziggs to get time on turrets. You want to put him on the back foot where you can, and I think Rift Herald will allow you to do that. It does look like, though, the teams are gearing up heavy vision control around the Dragon. Both teams right now trying to focus down that area of the map, and you can see the TF making his way in towards that mid lane. Interesting one. No teams have made the early attempt at the objectives right now, and that to me just makes you think that they're respecting each other very heavily when it comes to dealing with fights around these objectives.
Well, certainly for DKG, they've obviously got that double knockup potential with the Grand Challenge coming out from the Rakan, the Flag and Drag from YK, to try and get that initial engagement set up. It is going to be a trade in the end, a simple sort of a passive agreement, effectively, if you were. You take that, we take that. That means the Rift Herald may well get dropped in the top lane. There are 3 stacking up there, so we may see an early Rift Herald, or whether they're just going to save it for later for that mid.
They don't need to use it. They have Jax in that tower. They'll be able to get that really
easily.
easily.
Got him! Got him! First blood comes into the tournament. It was a pretty well done job there, but you actually working out very well. And finally, first blood comes through.
Yeah, Yo just essentially punished TF for overstaying around the Dragon there. He knows that he can't really find an easy kind of kill on July. Diana is a relatively good answer into Zed. Let's take a look back here. TF just finished off the Dragon by himself, doesn't clear out the ward. Overstep, take a full combo, and that is it. Like, you take the full combo from the Zed, and Yo just takes his moment, jumps over back to his clone, finds that ultimate engage onto TF. Just a bit greedy from TF, honestly. Just a bit greedy to go for that ward when he didn't really need to go for it.
Yeah, no reason to get in there. And Yo ready. Well, Emo's just going to step away from that one. Weeber's being chased here. Julie's going to try and commit for it. Yo, sorry, was there. Still going to be a 3v3 engage here. The rest of the team are collapsing. This is going to be a full-on team fight. Here we go. SBTC fancy a bit of this, but they realise the backup is coming. It doesn't matter when they pick off the Rakan so quickly. Emo goes down. And DKG realise this is a fight they cannot win.
I really think DKG need to play away from these full 5v5 team fights. You're playing into such a good anti-melee comp. Like, even if Rakan finds the engage, there are so many ways to shut him down. The Braum stun, the Diana ultimate. You know, you can throw the smoke screen on everybody in melee range, and it makes it very difficult to play these team fights out. DKG have got really strong side lane presence, and, you know, those smaller skirmishes were like Yo's able to pick off a single member. We'll take a look back here. This is just, again, Quaver just over-engaging, and I think Emo just left out by himself, gets drawn back into the fight, pulled back in by the Diana. There's nothing he could do there. Obviously, there was a man advantage for SBTC at this point, and I think YK hadn't even made his way over, but I think at the end of the day, just a little bit too much. And what I like what I'm seeing right now from DKG. They are much more willing to play around the side lane, utilize their side lane pressure, and you can see it here. And also because they have the Ziggs, he's always going to be threatening towers by himself. So you can't exactly deal with this massive split push side lane pressure easily, because if you do, Ziggs is going to take a tower for himself anyway. So this is the way that I want to see DKG play. I don't want to see them get baited into what is going to be favorable 5v5 team fights for SBTC.
Focus the objectives. Seems to be working so far. 2-0 in terms of turrets. That turret pressure remaining. Mid turret tier 1, only one remaining. Everybody just popping back to buy, just buying themselves a few moments here. Just getting themselves settled down. It is just a small 2,000 gold lead. Could be snowball out of control if they're not careful, but they know that money is still banked in the turrets if and when they can get them. And I do say that because there really isn't much damage on those outer turrets yet.
No, but all it takes is one good team fight, right? And especially with the next Dragon being Infernal, this is prime opportunity for SBTC to do something. Now, obviously, the Rift Herald is spawning relatively soon as well. It depends whether DKG are willing to make a trade for Infernal, saying, well, do you know what? We don't care. Like, Infernal is a small boost, obviously, but we think we can win without it. I think if they get baited into going for the Infernal fight, that's where SBTC can strike. As I said, I think they have the better 5v5 team fight into the heavy melee comp. I don't think Wind has got enough items to be a true ranged threat carry by himself right now. So I think if SBTC can establish dominance, especially vision dominance, around this Infernal Dragon, and they pull DKG in, I think that's a good opportunity for SBTC to do something here, and that's what I want to see them do. Although I will say they haven't set up for it particularly well. Darius is still on the top side of the map here.
one problem that they do have is obviously they do get set up in a siege position at the moment as they try to position. You can see SBTC desperate to try and get a pick. Infernal now up. Weaver's still up in the top there at the moment, just getting the Rift Herald down. Gets it just before the Baron will come back up. YK is going to commit to this, goes in, tries to get them locked down. Is he going to be able to try and focus some target? Evo will get dumped out there. Weaver finally arrives, but way too late to the party. Should be able to get one traded back, but it's a 2-for-1 so far. The top laner and carry. I would question the timing of the engagement there.
D-Man, we literally just talked about it. I'm going to talk about it after the replay because I'm going to take a look back here. I understand the thinking from DKG. You've taken Rift Herald, you've delayed them on Infernal, make the engage, maybe you can get a 2-for-1. Maybe you get both objectives because they're tanking the dragon for you. But it is just greedy. You're way too split up, and you correctly mentioned the timing of the engage wasn't exactly there for DKG because obviously Quaver was way too far away. And again, we just mentioned it. The team fight is better from SBTC. You have a really good anti-melee comp. YK and Yo just got eaten alive. Not Yo, sorry. Emo got eaten alive. YK and Emo got eaten alive in that fight by the Darius. That is what Yanero wants you to do. He wants you to sit on top of him so he can build stacks and dunk you. And he did the exact thing in that team fight.
The thing is for YK, I mean, he's not tanky yet. So obviously to go in and commit like that, he is going to get focused and burned down very quickly. And that's exactly what we just saw there. And now SBTC want to take the bull by the horns. They're looking for more engagements. They're thinking if DKG are willing to keep trying to work into these fights, we could try and punish because they know they've got to deal with that split push, and that's what's happening. TF was the focus there. Airborne they go. He's not going to catch them down. Judy is going to get wind down. Meanwhile, on the side, you can see Yozin also to trouble as well. He has to run for his life. TF will be picked off. So at a moment of 1-for-1, and the foot race for Yo will work out. He gets out alive. But again, this is all SBTC. They want these fights. And they're going to get them because Weaver's come in. And that is going to be an easy pickup. Aquino caught napping there. Hadn't realized he'd left that top lane. We're not done yet. We're going to see Yo going in for Julie here. Julie just going to try and keep him on. Gets him down. Shouldn't get him out to get the move fall off. But will just back away into the turret there. A tight engagement. Maybe a sign of things to come there from the two mid laners.
Oh, this is really, really tense right now. Let's take a look back at this fight. What happens is obviously YK finds the engagement with TF. He's like, okay, we're going to catch TF out here. We have a really great engage with the Yokins on the side lane, but they leave Wind completely alone. And 3v1, Julie picks up that kill onto the Ziggs. You always have to be a little careful about that. I like what Kano tried to do here, but it was just he was a little bit slow to pull the trigger on the flash. I think he was looking for the perfect opportunity, and by the time he did, Yo already had that shadow to jump to and was able to get out. But I've got to be honest with you, I think those kind of smaller skirmishes is what DKG want to look for. If they get sucked into a 5v5 when the Darius is there, that's the problem they're going to have. If they can force a fight away from the Darius, then clearly you're going to be in a much better spot. Also love what Weaver's doing here. This is exactly what you want the Jax to do. He's got 3 items, 11,500 gold, by the way. He's just turbo split pushing. This is what you want from a Jax. Quaver knows exactly where to put the pressure on the map, and it just gets melted. And you can see now, they're actually collapsing on him, onto that Braum who doesn't have the flash available. They're going to go in.
The count, there's a double fight. They've got fights around the red bar, fights down here. Julie is going to get focused in. Stasis comes down, will come out alive. The turret will juggle in the enter Kirill, and Julie gets out. But meanwhile that was happening, they did manage to get Aquino down in the jungle by the red buff, and Weaver, he is becoming an unstoppable beast.
I love the way they are making this Jax work. When you pick a Jax, there is one thing that he can do well, and it's this. He literally just sits in the side lane and takes towers. And something that we saw at the Origins series, right? When we were trying to see split pushing come through, this was just a really nice catch. It was a good collapse from into there, and I love that they were willing to make that play. But when you see a side laner play a split push strategy, they have to be willing to go for the 1v1s. They have to be willing to try and fight and engage and take and take someone down and force more resources to be committed to them when they're pushing the side lane. That's what Quaver is willing to do, and I love it because that's exactly what you need to do in Wild Rift. You can't just be a passive split pusher. You need to be much more active in the way that you engage. But we potentially have a fight here around the dragon.
Definitely one they want to fight for. SBTC, look at YK going in. Yo goes in around the side. Cloud Drake does go down immediately, but this is looking very good for the Chinese team as DKG look to clean up. Yunero's got nowhere to go. He's going to try and chase Yo down, but will not be able to pick it up. It is a rampage in Huiba as he romps through the team. TF, the last man to get out alive. And DKG are looking at absolute cleanup duty here at Scoundrel. Let's have a look at the action replay for that one, because the Baron is going to be picked up by the Chinese team.
Yeah, I think at this point, they have just got so much gold into play, Baron. He is so powerful in his own right. You can see that, SBTC feel like they need to go for the engage, but their team comp works a lot worse when they are not the ones being set up on the objective. They are split up here. Darius can't get multi-man decimated. He can't get stack built up on multiple members. Quaver knows exactly who the threat is, sticks on that Darius, and takes him down very early on into the fight, or at least tries to. And then I think, realistically, it is just Quaver carrying the fight from the back line. He's too strong, he can't be dealt with, and if Darius is not there to try and slow him down from the very start, I think he's going to run away. And I think at this point, you've got a 15k Jax, almost completed, like 6-item build. I think this is basically out the window right now for SBTC. This might be looking at the next game.
There's a few champions that you learn as you're trying to pick up the games. Jax being one of them when you're going through the levels, and everybody's come up against that massively fed Jax. It is a unstoppable machine when it gets going. It will wreck champions, it will wreck towers, it will wreck everything. And they are committing a little heavy here onto the tower. But you know what? They're getting away with it. Yunero goes down. Weaver is an absolute monster. That was an absolute epic engagement from YK. And that is going to be game one, ladies and gentlemen. Just like that. 15-minute game in the book, 16-minute pickup. DKG with an unstoppable Jackson Weaver taking game one.
I mean, we called it. He's the man of the moment for the DKG team, and he was a monster on that Jax. But what I really liked from DKG is they executed a strategy that is done so poorly by even many pro teams across all the regions worldwide, and that is a true split push strategy. He was willing to take the 1v1s, he was willing to create man advantages and draw more pressure to that side lane. He knew exactly where to be on the map at what time, and they knew that they couldn't really teamfight for the early objectives. They needed to funnel gold into Jax. That's why they focused that Rift Herald and allowed him to get as much gold as possible by taking down those side lane towers and getting the plates. Really intelligent stuff from DKG overall, and I think SBTC, I like the idea behind the draft. It's very heavy anti-melee, but at the end of the day, DKG only team fought when they were so far ahead that it didn't matter about the comps.
Yeah, absolutely incredible first game. We knew it was going to be a slow, tense game. It always is for game one of a tournament, no matter who it is, being these two crazy aggressive teams. But as you said, really well executed. They didn't get drawn into those early fights that SBTC were so desperately looking for. They really tried to force their hand, and it paid off twice. It paid off twice. The first dragon fight, but once Weaver got going, man, oh man, I think we're seeing why this guy has been rated so very highly. And let me remind you, that was the jungler. That wasn't a top laner. That was the jungler that absolutely was dominating. So incredible stuff. But it is a best of 3 at Scoundrel. There's still a lot to go.
There's still a lot to go. Absolutely. I mean, things can be pivoted. There was a very heavy focus on the Baron lane in that ban and pick and ban phase. Maybe they pivot and say, okay, let's leave some more Baron lane carries open and potentially move towards some jungle targeting. Banning Jax feels pretty bad, though. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not exactly an insane power pick in the meta right now. But yeah, I'm going to say I just think that DKG, they executed their strategy perfectly. When they eventually got to the point where Ziggs was so powerful enough that he could team fight, they were willing to take those 5v5s. The reason that 5v5 around the Cloud Drake went so well is because they were just so far ahead in gold that it didn't matter that they had an inferior straight-up teamfight comp, because Queeber was so fed that he could basically 1v3 the backline, and the Ziggs did so much damage at that point that his AoE damage became extremely relevant. So yeah, like we said, the SBTC draft made sense for trying to control those early objectives, but I actually think the addition of the second Rift Herald has really opened up diversity of comps, because usually what you'd see before the addition of the second Rift Herald is you'd see, okay, it would be Dragon or first Rift Herald, but after that, it's all Dragons. Like after that, you have to fight for the Dragons, so you have to have a team fight comp that can maybe make that work. Now, you've got at least 10 minutes of the game where you can execute 1-3-1s, you can execute side lanes pressure, you can sort of try and take many side lane towers. really, really cool stuff to see the diversity. And this is the first competition I think that we're seeing on Double Rift Herald as well. So it's, the diversity of I guess like comps and strategies is awesome.
I'm glad you said that, because I was somewhat surprised when it happened, and I'm like, did I just miss something in the whole Chinese gameplay, the meta going on there? But yeah, I was like, they just picked up a Rift Herald, but it's fine. They're in a dragon fight. I'll focus on it later. But yeah, it definitely caught me off guard as well. So as I said, getting it in there just before the Baron spawn, it was well timed. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it was definitely a very different game based on the fact that ordinarily you'd be seeing the split lanes being obviously you could see that Yo wanted to go for those split lane fights against the Zed. It just wasn't to be for him. He just backing away from each other every time. We were expected to see YK maybe doing that split push, but it wasn't. It was all Huiba. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And I love to see it. This is the diversity that we've obviously seen. This is the whole point of the Horizon Cup. We're getting to see all these regional metas sort of all merging into the one place. And I think we're going to see some very interesting games as the day goes on.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely 100% correct. And I think we don't see much Jax, but the Chinese scene has been quite insular, right? We don't get to see as much of it as we do maybe some of the Southeast Asia regions. So yeah, very, very interesting to see. Very interesting.
All right, let's go down to the floor in Singapore. Let's see what the Tigers has to say.
You've got so much diversity in what you can do on the map, and that opens up so many more picks, like the Jax, who is an absolute monster at taking turrets. Going to be the same call from SBTC, though. A Baron lane focus coming through with the Fiora ban. The Senna, we don't want to see fasting Senna. It is one of the most reliable competitive picks that you can get, so that's going to be taken off the board by DKG. We'll see if any of the bans do get shifted up, though, because that's what I am looking for. And there we go, D-Man. The Jax comes through.
Like, if there's anything we've learned in any of these League of Legends Wild Rift games that we've cast over the years, and we've got a good decade between us, the fact is, if something's just absolutely kicked your ass, you're gonna ban it out.
I made a joke. I made a joke.
It was a subtle joke, but the problem is, Scoundrel, you're not a young whippersnapper anymore yourself.
I like to think I'm young, mate, but I'm not. Okay. If anyone's in the audience is watching, and I apologize if you're over 30, but I'm 30 and I feel old. But there we go. Camille left open. This time we had a Galio ban, which actually made it all the way through the previous draft. The ribbon stays the same. The Olaf coming through here, but Ziggs left open again. There was a lot of discussion, especially from European analysts, who said, is Ziggs going to be as a higher priority for other regions as it is for us in Europe? It looks like with DKG, that's the case. TF gets his Lee Sin, though. If you're going to get a win, this is probably TF's best champion. And I remember distinctly reading a piece of advice when we were doing a lot of analysis on SBTC. Don't give TF Lee Sin. Well, he's got Lee Sin, so let's see if he can pull the win out here. I love the Corki. I think Corki's a really reliable scaling late game AP carry. You've got to remember that 80% of his damage is dealt as magic damage, which always catches people off guard because they think he's an AD carry, but he's primarily magic damage. But he can flex between both mid and bot. It still opens up the draft a little bit here. This could go over to Kiral, or could go over to Julie as well. We'll see the Renekton, who's a staple pick in the Baron lane. Very big power pick. I think people really rate Renekton right now. Yo gets his TF, though. That is going to have a lot of split push pressure and a lot of map presence.
We need to be careful how we say this, because we have a TF in game. So we're going to be twisted fate. We're going to have to go for the full name, I think.
We're going to go for the full name. You're so right. Twisted fate. Oh my gosh. I'm so used to calling him TF, but I can't remember there is a TF. That will be Huiba getting his Graves. They just talked about it in the analyst desk. It was denied from him in the previous game. I think you now need to prove yourself if you're Huiba that he's worth banning for the rest of the tournament, right? Like, if he comes out from this and it's open and he gets the absolute dominant performance on it, you're probably going to be seeing a Graves ban or denial for the rest of the tournament here. That is an interesting one, though. I'm hoping for a big knock-up support. Like, we're looking for, like, maybe an Alistair or Rakan works as well. Because there wasn't much facilitation for the Yasuo this game, apart from the Lee Sin kick. But now we're going to get the Rakan. That's a really nice addition. Love the pickup of the Yasuo here. A big gauntlet being thrown down by SBTC.
Yeah, big champion as well. With the Rakan also being locked in, what leaves the final choice? What will they go with for that support?
You want to match the roaming.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The roaming. And I think Oh, Leona's interesting. A lot of single target lockdown, which can allow make Yasuo a little easier to take down. And definitely has the same roaming potential as the Rakan. You know, you can leave Ziggs very easily in the bot lane. As long as Rakan's not trying to tower dive with Ziggs, you can leave him in the bot lane super easily and let Ziggs just find his own way in the 1v2. That's one of the things that we talked about with both the Ziggs and the Varus in the last game. A lot of 1v2 potential where they can just sit there and clear waves by themselves, allowing the support to be more freely roaming across the map.
So we've got a couple of things here, especially for SBTC, because they've got two, what I would say is comfort picks, right? You've got the Yasuo for Julie, who is a massive player on that, has constantly played it. TF obviously on his Lee Sin. Like, if you're going to win a game, this is it. You know, when you've got all your carries, all your picks that, well, you were going to feel has gone your way. This has got to be the time for them to turn the series back around.
I really like SBTC's comp actually because it offers a lot of breadth. You can split push with this, but you can also team fight, and the scaling is there as well. So they've kind of ticked every single box. However, you're a little weaker in the laning phase. You've got a very dominant laning phase Renekton here, who's very strong in the top lane matchups. And obviously Hueba, again, really good like anti-melee, so you can very easily deal with the Camille, the Lee Sin, and potentially even the Yasuo with this comp. But again, if they need to go into a full 5v5 brawl, I'm kind of favoring SBTC's comp. But again, DKG, we've shown what they can do. They've got a lot of tower taking. They've got a lot of split push potential as well. But the only problem is that they let the Yasuo and the Camille get ahead, their split push kind of falls apart. So they're going to have to be very careful in where their resources are being allocated this game. Because if you let Yonera or Julie get too far ahead, although I say that, I think it might be Yasuo Rakan bot with Kiral playing the Yasuo in the bot lane.
You think that's what it's going to be? That would be big for Julie, who is like the main, it's like massive Yasuo player. But it's not switching, so we've got to assume that's the way. I was looking towards, the wind wall. I was all set it up for Julie, but obviously can block the Zenith Blade, but it still can't stop that solar flare, which is why I really like that Leona pick in the end there. There's always something that will be able to lock him down.
Yeah, and I think the problem is, though, that it's not just the Yasuo that you got to be worried about. There isn't really a dedicated non-threat, like when I say non-threat, I mean tank. There isn't really like a dedicated tank on SBTC, right? So every single one of their players is a threat in these team fights. And so that's what you have to be a little bit more concerned about if you're Dakun, because it's not like you can just ignore someone in these fights. Like Camille is threatening, Lee Sin is threatening, Yasuo is threatening, and Corki's threatening. So you have to find a way to deal with them. The best way, in my opinion, based on their comp, is to peel back and play front to back if you want to play it that way. Like you just peel back with the Renekton and the Graves, and you allow the ranged of your TF and your Ziggs to do the work from the backline. But there's a lot of ways to engage in the backline if you're SBTC. So again, I think Dakun might want to kind of play away from the team fights until they feel strong enough, especially on the side of Hueba having the gold and Yo and Wind once they've got their gold.
They did switch. Okay, it is Julie on the Yasuo. Okay, that's a strong stun straight out the blocks. Kirill's probably just going to back away and heal that one up. It does give them that smallest advantage. It gave them a little bit of cover they needed. So let's have a brief glimmer. Now we do have the lane set up. We really want to focus on, I would say, probably the jungle pattern, because obviously, there's a lot been said about TF's Lee Sin and Hueba's Graves. They're both on, champions that they are very well known for.
Yeah, it looks like Hueba is actually going for a full topside clear. You never usually go Krugs if you're not going to go for a full topside clear. So he's probably looking to sort of play around the dominance of the Renekton in this laning phase, and then hoping to go for a top scuttle to play away from the Lee Sin. You do not want to get into a fight with the Lee Sin early on. So that to me looks like what he's doing here. He's basically saying, I want to avoid Lee Sin at all costs. I have complete priority in the top lane for YK versus Gennaro, and therefore I'm going to try and go for a top lane scuttle take, which is exactly what he's doing, and I don't blame him, because getting into a fight as a Grave versus a Lee Sin can be very scary early on.
Yeah, it's not something that's going to work out well. We are speaking of not working out. That grand challenge didn't work out from Aquino there. Completely missed it. Stun card, meanwhile, down in the mid lane. Julie easily eating that yellow card. Weaver is going to have a little peek around there. There's another gold card coming out. And TF, hitting TF. That being the actual twisted fate being taken down.
Oh, now they've got priority mid as well. Like, Hueba, he's going for it. Oh, Hueba, what a beast, man. Oh, that was crazy. Sorry, Lee, that just happened instantly.
Yeah, that was okay. But I pulled my headphones out, so I couldn't do a great deal about it anyway. But but Win taken very low at the moment still. It's going down the bottom there. Yanero in all sorts of trouble. Got to try and wipe out the waves, and he will do just in time. It's not over yet. Down on the Dragon Lane. Yo, going low. Oh, they still didn't get him. The other one got back as well. Win got away somehow. Yo still on absolutely nothing. Kirill's going to come in. The minion wave on nothing. They should be able to finish off this time. It could be the double, and I think it will be. Emo just tried to delay things as quick as he could, and Kirill will take the hit.
That is really well played from SBTC. They saw Graves show on the top side of the map. Yanero was not in a situation where he could be tower dived easily, and they had the priority in the bot side. That was the only lane that's been going well for them. They shoved the Ziggs into tower. Let's take a look back at this. This is just really lovely. He'd just been tapping away with the red buff, and then Weaver finds an excellent end to the line, and then straight into a smoke screen to finish it off with the first blood for Weaver. That was beautiful. You can see the little fist pump from the guy's back behind, because that was a really nice little kill on the tower from Weaver, and it allowed him to get the top scuttle. But obviously, I've got to give credit to TF, and I mean this by the Lee Sin. He was able to go bot, take the scuttle, and then again capitalize on the bot lane priority that they had. It's really good to put things into pressure very early on, and they found Yo in the mid lane as well. Caught me by surprise. Didn't even see it happen.
Yeah, this is a bit faster pace than the last game, that's for sure. As we were expecting this sort of to quicken up a little bit, and that's pretty much how it's working out. This is Aquino going incredibly aggressive there with the Grand Challenge, especially when the fact that Yo could come in and join like this. This is a little too deep, and well, I think it's cost them in the end there a 1-for-0.
If Corki had the package, maybe I would have understood the play. You know, you package right on top of the exit past the wind. It makes it very difficult for him to get out. But that was a Corki without the package. He hasn't even got Sheen for the burst damage. That was, again, I very much agree with you there, D-Man. That was not exactly a play that I would be looking to make with a Corki who hasn't even got a completed item at this point in time, especially given how much peel the Leona offers the Ziggs. We're going to take a look back here. That was just nice from TF. The leasing kick sets up the Yasuo ultimate. Yo knows he's dead in this situation, doesn't even try to burn anything, and just lets it happen.
So 3 for 2. I think it's safe to say that the Aquino death was off the back of an aggressive play that just didn't pay off for them, maybe trying to carry the momentum forward. But let's talk about the Rift Heralds, because this is something I can't get your name right, get my mouth in. It's very early in the morning, kid, and you gotta forgive me. It's nearly lunchtime, actually. What I was about to say is the fight over the Rift Herald, it was kind of wasted by DKG last time around. They had 2 Rift Heralds, didn't really do a great deal with them. This time, SBTC are gonna pick it up. There's the Hextech ultimatum. That is gonna be a simple pick up there, and a second to follow it up as TF does go in and get Weaver down.
Yeah, but they're actually losing the first tower of the game to the Ziggs in the mid lane. Really great response, honestly, from DKG to get the first tower regardless of the way that team fight played out. Maybe he has to get some damage on the bot side of the map as well. I will say, though, a little weird from DKG to stick around that far, because they knew they had TF on the bot side of the map. They saw 5 members of SBTC. I would say a little greedy to try and go for the fight, but I guess they were trying to buy time and try to still let out as long as possible. But I think at the end of the day, SBTC capitalized really well, but DKG had a really good answer with that mid lane push. And that's what Ziggs offers you. Even in the situations where your team fights are going badly, Ziggs can 2-shot a tower.
Now we're going to go straight back to it. Straight up. That's going to get picked up. Almost stolen away by the Ziggs bomb coming through. Emo is not going to get away from that one. I don't think Yanero's all over him, but he will manage to back away. So no deaths either side. Aquino might be able to get picked off here. He will do. A quick slice and dice in there from Win, and YK will do the job.
I definitely think DKG disrespecting the engage potential of SBTC right now. Stepping too close, getting knocked up, and the Yasuo finding the engage. Like Julie already starting to prove his worth on this pick with some excellent pickups off the engages that we're getting from both Kano, but also TF making those big picks play happen as well. But honestly, I think they should be a bit more respectful of the engage range that we're seeing coming out from SBTC. They're finding fights, and DKG are getting caught, split, and that's exactly what SBTC want.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're both willing and able to go for these fights at the moment. I do feel that this is going to be one of those games that may just quickly snowball out of control by one of the teams based on these picks that are going. You can see the heavy presence that Kano is trying to put in there. The Grand Challenge comes down because TF is joining. Kick not going to quite land on in there. Julie was nearby, as you can see, sort of cutting the lanes to trying to get as much out as he can. That's a 4 champion presence down the bottom. Not going to net anything, so the Ziggs bomb just used to clear the waves. And back to the lanes.
You can see Corki heading up towards Kirel, heading up towards to support Yanero. I think YK knew something was up. YK was like, why is he coming back to tower with a quarter HP? There's no way that he's going to do this. I have my ultimate available. Like, this was an easy dive for me, and he didn't take it because he knew there was probably someone hovering in the wings waiting for him to go for that tower dive play. So good presence of mind from YK to not make the silly play there. And you can actually see they are trying to just commit to like a 1-3-1 with Ziggs, or it's actually a 2-1-2 with Ziggs just clearing mid as much as possible. Like, leave Ziggs to clear the mid lane waves and just constantly pressure out the side lane waves with both your TF and your Renekton.
Yanero looking to try and catch Wind off guard. He is, but I don't think Wind's going to fall for it. They are going to try and commit to it. Has gone for the ultimatum though. The stasis going down. Now they go for it. That's a great kick. Wind should go down. They're trying to juggle the aggro on the tower, but it has backfired terribly. Yo's going to try and chase down TF here. I don't think they're going to want to let him get away. He can't go top lane because there isn't Renekton there. He's going to try and cut through the towers and maybe try and back away. I think he's going to get hunted down. Yes, he is. The TF should find him. There we go. Gold card. Doesn't land. He might turn this one back around. Hasn't got enough lifesteal. He's juggling really well with the bushes, but Yo not falling for it and takes him down.
I really understand what SBTC did there. They were like, okay, we want to dive Ziggs. We can't let him clear waves. We have to Camille. She can go for it with the Hextech ultimatum. Beautiful Zhonya's to immediately lock that out. Watch this flash from window. Flash straight out of the Rakan ult, and then just buys enough time for TF to get under tower and the rest of his team to come through and save him. He dies, but it's a 1-for-1, and they protect the mid lane tower. That's exactly what you want from the Ziggs in that scenario. Leona, impossible to dive with her sort of massive boost in resistances that she gets from her second ability. So they couldn't even capitalize on the bot side of the map, and the end of it, main tier 1 as well. Here goes YK.
He's trying to get in. It's Aquino they went for, though, so managed to get out. The Rakan escapes quickly, but the 5-man stack trying to pay off there. Possibly fighting for this second Rift Herald that we saw in the first game. This time around, though, they're not getting caught out. It's not going to be a quickly stolen second Rift Herald. They are full force for this one. SBTC, 5-man stack, but in comes YK around the side. That is going to be a great slice of dice. 4 of them caught up there, but SBTC should be able to turn this one around. Wind's trying to get the down. Weaver's got no damage to follow. Aquino will go down. YK still off the side there. Yo managed to get TF down. He does fall. It's a very messy affair. That's going to be another one. Yanero will fall. It's a 3-for-3 so far. Wow. I mean, no one came out on top there, I don't think. I mean, YK is going to be able to get away, but that was... Nobody got the Rift Herald. Nobody managed to get the fight.
A couple of things to note. YK had lost his ultimate, so the dominance has gone down at this point. They try and find the engage onto Julie, but a great
It was Weaver. Weaver stole the Rift Herald.
He stole the Rift Herald, which is fantastic, exactly what you wanted. But that wind wall from Julie just shut down both Yo and the Ziggs in that fight. Like, it was impossible for them to get any damage done, so they had to cut it backwards, but they couldn't because then the engage came through and they were able to kind of follow up. And that's why I don't actually think DKG want to go for the team fights at this stage of the game. They haven't got the items to make it work right now, but they are stacking up again for a potential dragon take. Got a lot of gold on the TF, so...
All stood on the ward, and yeah, I think they finally realized it. He's trying his best. I mean, you say they don't want to go for a team fight. They kind of look like they do.
No, I mean, they've got a lot of gold on TF, right? Yeah. And they've also picked up key optimization. They're actually popping the Dominus very early on here, so we're just waiting to see if they can start this one off. With YK having the Dominus, he's a very scary frontline, so they have to respect.
Oh, that's a double lockup. The solar flare comes down as well. Yanero just locked in the alcove around the side there. Emo will finally fall, and now Julie's going to get the damage down. They're going to lock this one down. DKG in all manner of trouble, but look at the turnaround come through as Weaver gets in and mops up and gets himself a massive collateral damage. And DKG, they may not want the team fight, but they come out 4-for-2, sorry, in their favor.
Yeah, no, it was really well played. I think they're just playing around the item spikes of the graves here. Really good stuff from YK. Pops the Dominus early to build up the Fury as quickly as he can in this team fight. Yanero out of position, and this is exactly what DKG want. They want single target pickoffs in these team fights to force man advantages in their favor. Obviously, TF on the Lee Sin goes a little too far and gets gold carded. He's immediately forced out of the fight. Julie trying his best, but without the setup on multiple members, the Yasuo just isn't getting the same kind of value. And Quiver has that 2-item spike now, makes it very easy for him, and he was able to just kind of clean up at the end of that fight.
Shut down.
Whew. I'm gonna need a break after this game. this is a fast one. 12-11, so 23 kills inside just 12 minutes. Remember, the games generally do only last around about 15 to 20 minute mark within Wild Rift, and this one looking to quicken the pace even further. Still, Drake was picked up, and now DKG looking to try and push the engagement. They're going hunting. And it does seem that SBTC, they are starting to respect it a little bit here, realizing they've got a position. They've gone for the heavy push on that bot lane. It hasn't paid off, and it may well just lose them 2 tier 2 turrets.
Well, they're going to drop the Rift Herald on the top side of the map here, so even looking for a potential inhibitor tower. That's going to be engaged by YK. They've got great single target pickoff here. If anyone steps up with no tank, that's a great knockout.
Oh, grand challenge catching 4 of them off guard. This is SBT's fight, surely in the back. Can they turn it around? But you can see the damage from DKG. They're not getting the kills. They've got to confirm the kills. YK almost managed to swipe down 3 of them there. TF will fall. Kirill should be able to get Yo down here. That still, despite being pretty much the perfect engagement with a 4-man grand challenge knock up there, SBTC still couldn't pick enough up. Yeah, and he's got to respect it. He can't take on Yo now. Has to back away from that one. Wow. Let's check out the Axe replay from that one, because that was the perfect engagement for SBTC, but they didn't get enough for me.
I think this is what they wanted, though. You've got all the key members in the knockup. A beautiful last breath from the Astro. That's the team fight that you're looking for. The thing is, with the SBT team fight, you don't have much leeway to get it wrong, right? You've got no tanks to absorb the damage. So the first engage that you make as SBTC has to be the engage that wins you the game, or wins you the fight. And that right there was the engage that wins you the fight. Yes, you didn't get enough, but you've got to remember that they're also a nearly 10k gold down. And so it was actually a really good fight for SBTC, given the gold disadvantage they're facing right now.
Yeah.
But that engage might be few and far between. You know, Akano is kind of the catalyst for SBTC in these team fights. If he can't make those kind of knockup plays, you're probably not going to come out on top as SBTC. And the fact is that YK is really strong, Yo is really strong, and Huiba is really strong. So even if they want to go for a split push play, they can do that.
Oh, cool. Okay, on guard here. Has the dominance, but that's going to be enough to get out of there. Okay. I was just about to say it wasn't going to be enough. I think the Starks managed to save him for a brief moment. But going back to that, you know, YK, I did a Call the Meek, and I got to be honest, the amount of lifesteal that came out, I thought he was going to do a 1v4. I was so ready for it, but it didn't quite happen. Didn't quite get the Call the Meek off in time. Whew. Okay, dragging up, 15 seconds. Here we go again.
DKG, they've actually entered the point in the game where they're pretty strong in teamfight situations now. Like, Hueba's got enough items to be a monster. You've got really strong anti-melee with a very, very, very big Renekton. And I think now, if you're SBTC, you're looking for those miracle engages again. You're looking for the situation where Akano gets you like multi-man knockup. Because I think if you're just going to waltz your way into a teamfight without the proper setup, I think Hueba, I think YK are too strong, and Emo provides enough threat and enough peel for both Yo and Wind.
Akano's flash is up any second now. I think that's what they're waiting for, and they're holding. You can see DKG realize that. They're sat waiting on the timing. They're focusing on him, and they will manage to lock him down, but is it going to cost them there? They focus so much on Akano. I think it's cost them overall. You can see the 1-2 picking up. Yo's in trouble. He's trying to back away. The stun card comes out, though, and that just turned the game around. Kirill realizes, I've gone too deep. Where's my team gone? TF has to run away, and just like that, the fight flips on its head.
That was beautiful from DKG. I love that you picked up on the key moment there, which was, you know, we were talking about it. Like, Akano has to make the engage. Let's take a look at the Axe replay, and we can have a look at that engage that came through. Yo knew. He knew that Akano was looking for it, so they tried to focus him down, and look at all the single target DC expended specifically onto the support. How many other fights, how many other games do you see so many resources invested into killing the support first? And they knew that Akano is the catalyst for these team fights. That's why they expended so much onto him. It was obviously very close. Julie almost took the fight over. But Huiba is just too strong at this point. He's got too many items, and he's got too much lifesteal built into that kit now. And Huiba, again, just absolute MVP of this team.
Yeah, he's just kind of normal. I mean, for me, I kind of feel a little sorry for SBTC, because there's so many times in those fights you think, just finish them. Finish that player off. Finish him, and they just get away. They're getting away on nothing, and they're going back in again. But there's going to be Akano getting the knockup, but he has been picked off already. He goes down, and this may be game.
This is going to be a great win, Wolf. Oh no, the missed time on the stasis. He had your back. Julie had your back and you doubted him. Oh no, that's disaster, because that might now actually open up the game, or at least multiple inhibitor towers.
Yeah, they're ignoring Baron. That's what I like to see. You know what? We don't need that Baron power play. We're just going to keep on powering down the mid. They get themselves the inhibitor turret, and that goes down. The Nexus may well be next. This could be a quick 2-0. They try to engage, they try to delay, but it's not enough. Julie realizes it. DKG will take it in 2.
That was dominant from DKG, and I think Huiba lived up to exactly what he was expected to coming into this tournament. That guy is an absolute beast, but I loved the strategy that DKG employed on both games here. SBTC honestly felt like they couldn't contend with just the power of the way these fights played out. I've got to be honest though, I think DKG did a really good job of giving gold over to Flaber and then essentially playing off Flaber's item spikes both games. They delayed properly fighting until they hit the relevant item spikes where they felt they could actually take a 5v5. And that to me was what shows real intelligence on this DKG team. They know exactly how to play around item spikes. They know at which point in the game they really want to be sort of looking for those actual engagements and looking for those skirmishes and team fights. And that is, to me, a very strong showing from one of the tournament favorites. You could not come out with a better result in your first game with the Horizon Cup. Yeah,
considering both these two teams, considered, as you say, favorites for the entire tournament, to come out 2-0 in your first game in what was, that, in fairness, that was a pretty messy one. The first game, dominant. Second game, I mean, it was messy, but it was ironic that actually you were the one who was mentioning at the time that SBTC, they were looking for the team fights, but DKG, they were willing and able to take those team fights on. And, there were so many times that I was just thinking, oh, SBTC have got this. They've got this. They're going to wipe them down but DKG did such a good job. Not just escaping and avoiding without, with very little health. They were happy to turn it back around in their head. Turn it back around. There's a gold card. Everybody turns back in. Boom. Instant responses. They were all acting as one. That's what you want from a team fight. A team that will just respond at the split-second timing.
What I would say is that I think DKG very quickly found out SBT's game plan. I think they wanted to wait until a certain point in the game where they felt they had the item spikes to team fight. But once they realized that Akaino was the only one that could set the team fights up properly for SBTC, you even saw it in that last fight. Beautiful single target focus. Like I said, I've never seen so much focus for a support player, especially just a Rakan, in my life. But they realized he was the key to unlock Julie in these team fights. And if he wasn't able to make the play, then I think SBT's team fight fell apart. And I think one of the big problems that SBT had is if they didn't get ahead, especially with having no beefy frontline, because you had the Renekton on the side of DKG to act as your frontline, and Graves is kind of a pseudo frontline once he gets the Bloodthirster. You had very little leeway to get things wrong. So SBTC, if they weren't able to snowball the Camille, if they weren't able to snowball the Yasuo, their team fight and their split push fell apart a little bit. And I think I didn't quite realize that at the start of the game. I think I maybe overanalyzed how strong the team fight was from SBTC, because realistically it depended on their key carries getting the resources that they need to be able to function. But they didn't get those resources because DKG have got a good grip on the early game. They don't let things go for free, and they've got much better understanding about how to take towers and wave management to take towers as well. And so I think that was one of the major issues. Plus, if you remember how the start of the game went, top mid side was all in favor of DKG. And who were the two key carries that you needed to get ahead for these team fights? It was the Camille and it was the Yasuo. Both of them were put under pressure very early on. Great that you got the Corki some kills, but he was less relevant to your team fight power, especially mid game. Like, Corki is great late game, don't get me wrong, but mid game. And I think DKG just switched it on. They were like, okay, Killer Kano, they can't team fight, right? That was really intelligent from like the way they adapted their team fight style. And I think I was really impressed with how DKG did that and adapted mid-game to change their strategy and be, as you said, be unified in their approach to team fights.
Yeah, I felt they were just trying to, get that snowball early, and it just didn't kick off for them. Obviously, they had their moments where they went for those tower dives and didn't quite work out. What a fantastic first game, though. That is it from us. Of course, for more on the match, let's throw it over to Kangas, of course, and the State Farm Analyst Desk.